Hello and welcome to the Print's YouTube channel today afternoon. I, Snesh Alex Philip, will take your questions on this very crucial topic. And the question that we're asking is, what does the Modi government hope to achieve by allowing the EU parliamentarians to visit J&K? Viewers, you must be already aware of the fact that there is a group of EU, that is European Union parliamentarians, who are visiting Jammu and Kashmir today. They've already landed in Kashmir. The time right now is about 3:35, which means that they've already had the lunch and had a briefing by the 15 Corps commander, that is Lieutenant General KJS Dillon, who's also known as Tiny Dillon, and along with briefings by the security officials. Now, these security officials involve the IG, that is Inspector General of Police, looking after the Kashmir range. Also, you have the DGP as well as the Kashmir heads of the central security agencies, and by security agencies I mean the intel agencies. After this, they would be visiting the Dal Lake, they would be interacting with the civil society, they will be interacting with the civilians. At the same time, they'll also be meeting with the elected, some of the elected representatives from the panchayat, as well as the recently held block development polls. So yes, and they will also be interacting with the media tomorrow early morning and meet with some more personalities. So coming back to the question about what does this really achieve, remember that this is part of the Modi government's outreach to the international community. There have been concerns that have been expressed. Pakistan has really gone all hog in trying to, with their propaganda of trying to show that Kashmir, there's a lot of human rights violations that are taking place in Kashmir. People are getting killed on a daily basis. So this is part of the initiative by the Modi government to reach out to the international community and show them the ground situation in Jammu and Kashmir. So please do send in your questions, and I'll try and answer as many questions as possible. I have a question coming in from Rahul, and is asking if this is an official visit of the European Union. Well, Rahul, this is not an official visit of the European Union. The parliamentarians are here on the personal capacity. This is not something that the EU has taken up officially. So they are here on a personal capacity. But remember that these are, a group of 27 EU parliamentarians. And if I'm not mistaken, I'll have to check again that 4 parliamentarians have not actually visited, have not gone on this particular trip. But yes, this is an important visit, even if it's not an official one. I have a question coming in from Shiv, and he's asking what are the likely outcomes of this particular visit. Well, the likely outcome of this particular visit is that these parliamentarians will be able to see the situation on the ground, will be able to interact with the cross section of the society, and will be able to form an opinion about what really is happening in Kashmir. Everybody says that always remember that the truth. There are people who are saying that Kashmir is burning. There are people who say that Kashmir is absolutely normal. The fact of the matter is that the truth lies somewhere in between, and hence it is very important for people to be on the ground to understand the situation in a much better way, rather than believing in a propaganda war that has been launched by Pakistan along with other people. I have a question coming in from Arpita Rai. Is this once again an attempt to internationalize the Kashmir issue? Well, Ms. Rai, that's a very good question, because it's also something that, not a similar question troubled me, but I was also wondering whether, on one hand, while the Modi government goes ahead and claims that Kashmir is an internal matter, it is also organizing this particular trip of the EU parliamentarians. So in a way, you can say that this is getting this is getting, globally it is getting traction. But at the same time, remember that, the views of the global community also matters. Now, we are living in the 21st century. We are living in a very connected, world. And here, you can't really go ahead and stop people from entering your particular areas that you control. And which are part of your own territory. So it is very important to make sure that the international community also understands the situation on the ground and are able to visit this particular place. So this is actually a welcome step as far as the Modi government is concerned. I have a question coming in from George Paul, and he's asking, is it true that this is a PR exercise sponsored by the BJP, because most of these foreign MPs are from far-right parties in their respective countries? Paul, every step that usually the government undertakes would be to project their side of the story. So you can actually call it, a PR exercise for that matter. This is a PR exercise, also means public relations exercise. There are concerns that have been raised. So yes, these MPs have been invited, and they are in Kashmir. They will be talking to a cross section of the society, meeting with officials, security officials, people from the army, the police, and all. So if you're asking whether, as far as of them being part of the, that these are all elected representatives, they are all politicians holding their own ground in their own in the country, and hence whether they, this whole focus on whether they are like something, the fact of the matter is that yes, they are part of the, lot many are part of the conservative right-wing parties. But does it also mean, when you say that these are far-right politicians, does it also mean that we should invite the far-left politicians to Kashmir? So it's really, the fact of the matter is that this is an independent group which has come in. It doesn't have an official sanction. They have come in. They're looking at the situation in Kashmir, and it is a welcome step as far as this government is concerned. Well, I have a question coming in from Pratik, and he's asking what will be the duration of the visit. Pratik, the delegation reached Kashmir at about 12 in the afternoon. They have a series of meetings that have been planned today. As I said earlier, they have the Chinnar Corps commander, that is Lieutenant General KJS Dhillon, has already briefed them. They have also been briefed by the police officials. They will be now moving on, would be visiting the Dal Lake. They will be taking a shikara ride, the usual tourist thing. At the same time, they'll also be meeting with civilians and all, and they are scheduled to come back by tomorrow afternoon back in Delhi. Well, Rohit Srivastav is asking, why didn't the Modi government allow Indian MPs to visit Kashmir but have allowed foreign personnel to visit? Well, Rohit, that's a very important question that you've asked, and I would also really like to know this particular reason. When would the Indian MPs be allowed to move to Kashmir? But remember that besides that, what the government has really focusing on with this particular trip is to send out a message to the international community as such that everything is not as bad as what it is presumed to be in Kashmir. Things are at a much better position than it was before. As far as the visit of the Indian MPs are concerned, it would be a very good move if the government actually allows the Indian members of parliament and political leaders to actually visit Kashmir and get a hang of the situation from the ground zero itself. Remember that most of these MPs know the situation in Kashmir, know how Kashmir functions. Kashmir is not something which the issue of Kashmir has not come up a week ago or about in 2014. This is an issue which has been facing the country right from the time of the independence itself. So all the political parties have had experience in dealing with Kashmir. The situation has been better in some, the situation has gone for the worst under some rules. But at the end of the day, coming back to your question, I would say that we're all waiting for the Modi government to actually allow the Indian MPs to visit Kashmir. Prabhav Deshpande is asking, is there going to be a hearing as it happened in the US Congress after this visit? Well, Prabhav, I don't think so. There's a hearing that is going to happen after this particular visit. Remember that this is not an official European Union delegation that is visiting Kashmir. This is these MPs are visiting on their personal capacity. And Renu Priyam is asking, is there any chance of them meeting the former chief minister? Renu, there is no chance of these MPs meeting with the former chief ministers, that is, Mehbooba Mufti as well as Omar Abdullah. Remember that they are already under detention, so these MPs would not be meeting them. But interestingly, at the lunch yesterday in the national capital, there were three politicians and a former, bureaucrat turned politician who met with this particular EU delegation over lunch. And Another question is from Renu, and she's asking, is this a counter to Pakistan's false propaganda on Kashmir issue? Yes, as I said earlier, this is part of the government's offensive against the propaganda that is being spread by Pakistan. And as I said earlier, there are two versions that are coming out from Kashmir. One is the fact that everything is completely, Kashmir is in, that human rights violations are taking place on a daily basis. Kashmir is burning. On the other hand, you also have the a certain narrative which is coming out which says that Kashmir is absolutely normal. So as I said earlier, the truth lies somewhere in between. The situation is not as bad as some want you to believe, and neither is the situation as rosy as some would want you to believe. We have a question coming in from Duggan, and he's asking, why is India so worried about the opinion of the EU? Now, remember that European Union is a very powerful bloc as far as global matters are concerned. India has had tremendous good relationship with the European Union, both on a cultural to cultural basis as well as from a trade and business point of view. So it's not just about the EU. I think at the end of the day, the global opinions matter. As I explained earlier, we live in the 21st century where everything is connected. So you can't really go ahead and shut yourself out thinking that nobody else would be able to watch you. So it is very important, and it's a very positive step, even if one might not agree with the kind of MPs who are on particular this trip. But if you look from a different point of view, it's a very welcome step as far as the Modi government is concerned, because it is trying its best. It has taken the initial steps of reaching out to the international community and letting them come and visit Kashmir to take stock of the situation from the ground itself. Akshay is asking, how is this being received by international media? Are they taking this visit seriously? It is said that most of them are right-leaning members. As I said earlier, that yes, many of these members are right-leaning members. But remember that they are all elected representatives. They are bona fide politicians in their own country. So while we focus on this whole right wing, I wonder whether there should have been the far left to be taken to Kashmir. If that's what you're proposing, I really don't know what you're proposing by focusing on this right-wing element part. But yes, they are, as I said earlier, this is the first step that has been taken by the Modi government. Whether this would, give them any dividends or not, it's a different thing altogether. But remember that this is not an official European Union visit. This is a visit that has been taken on a personal capacity. There's which involves an NGO which is funding this particular trip. Of course, the government of India has gone out of the way in organizing this particular trip. These MPs are in traction with the Prime Minister. These MPs were briefed by the National Security Advisor Ajit Doval. They are in Kashmir. They are meeting with the top hierarchy in Kashmir, getting a brief on the security situation by none other than the 15 Corps commander himself. So yes, a lot of effort is being put in behind this particular trip. One would really have to wait and see whether this will actually give the Modi government any dividend per se. Anyway, so yes, and a question coming is, can this visit of foreign delegates raise India's reputation in international community? Well, I'm really not sure whether at what the Indian reputation is at a pretty high level. So I'm not really sure whether how much can this particular delegation really pull up India's reputation. But as far as as I said earlier, that this is a welcome step by the Narendra Modi government. I think more such steps need to be taken. There should be, if the international, as I said earlier, this is the international, the MPs which are there. The Indian MPs should be allowed to visit Kashmir. The Indian politicians should have a free hand. People should get a chance to visit Kashmir, because the fact is that earlier at one point of time we could understand when the Modi government said that the security situation was tense, and hence it was not possible to allow the politicians and certain activists to enter Kashmir. But the fact that this particular delegation is in Kashmir shows, points to the fact that the Modi government feels that the security situation is well within their control, and hence now after this particular visit, more such visits as well as the state should be opened up for the Indian MPs to actually visit the state. But thank you so much for sending in your questions. Do subscribe to our Print's YouTube channel for more such videos, and tomorrow one of my colleagues would be picking up the burning topic of the day and will try and answer your questions. Thank you so much.